everybody, welcome. Alright, so today I'm going to show you the second half of my music DVD collection. This is all focused on documentaries. Big fan of documentaries. I love watching them, especially when they're about music. Right now I've been binge watching a lot of like solar system documentaries about physics and science, but when I'm not watching those, I'm watching music documentaries. And throughout the years, as I've been thrifting and going to record stores, I've been finding them used and cheap, so I can't turn them away. I take them home with me. And the collection's not that big, but it's decent. I got a nice stack of them here. Like I said, it's just a great way to learn about music that doesn't include a book or the music itself. It actually brings them together in this amazing visual presentation. And I feel like I get a lot more out of it because it kind of combines all those things, But anyways, let's get straight into it. Starting off with the newest addition to my collection. This is actually something I've been looking for a while. Documentary by Brett Morgan, Kurt Cobain's Montage of Heck. It combines live footage from when he was a kid to when he was a teenager, when he was touring with Nirvana in the early days, as they made their way to the very top, and then of course kind of like near the end of his life. He didn't really go into his suicide, which I thought was great because there's far too many documentaries about it. They avoided that part and just focused on his life, and really shared detailed things about his life and what made him who he was as an adult. To see him as a kid is probably my favorite because he's happy, he's smiling. He was an adorable little kid. And then, of course, when you see him when he was older, he was very, he was dealing with a lot. So, I don't know, just the contrast between the two is just insane. And I've read several biographies. They mentioned some things that I read on Charles' Heavier Than Heaven biography on Kurt Cobain, like when he was with that girl who was mentally challenged, and the way that they did that story by illustrating it really kind of just, I don't know, it just painted this picture. I had already envisioned it when I was reading it, but to see it done this way was just crazy. A lot of great animation done throughout the film, kind of to give you some perspective of him. And a lot of interviews. You got Courtney, of course. You got Chris. You don't see Dave Grohl, but I think there was some issues with him and Courtney at that time. Frances, his daughter, actually produced this, so I actually would have loved to have seen her show up on it as well. You do get to see her as a kid. You get to see Courtney naked. I don't know who would want to see that. If you're into that, you get to see her naked several times towards the end. I didn't expect that. I was like, okay. But anyways, the inside here, you got the documentary. You get this little postcard, which when you collect like the 3 other postcards makes a bigger postcard. Not sure how I'm going to get my hands on those, but that is in there. And then of course there's art on the back. Original art from Kurt, along with some more on the little booklet here that has production notes and some more artwork. A lot of it, I think, is from when he was making that In Utero album. Very familiar artwork. But yeah, I mean, just solid documentary. Highly recommend it. This one I paid full price for because I just have not been able to find it anywhere. And I couldn't wait, a couple years to pick it up randomly at the thrift store. So the next one here I'm going to show you, switching gears, is the Scratch documentary. Super, just amazing documentary, beautifully filmed. It's a 2-disc DVD. I picked this up at a thrift store for a couple bucks. If you're interested in hip-hop, love hip-hop, DJing, the culture of DJing, I highly recommend this. They have Africa Bambaataa, Jazzy J, DJ Crush, just sort of talking about the history about it. And then you have DJ Premier, The Executioners, Qbert, Mixmaster Mike, just showing you a little bit about what DJing is. One of my favorite scenes is of Mixmaster Mike cutting up and scratching while using a Robert Johnson, the Delta Blues singer album. He just drops the needle, puts a beat on, and starts cutting him into the song. It's probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. But yeah, it just illustrates the point that hip hop can take pretty much any genre of music and just change and manipulate it to turn into something different and new and exciting. And who would have thought that Robert Johnson would be relevant in that sense? So, I mean, what they do is just incredible. And you get a bunch of special features as well. You get a multi-angle do-it-yourself lesson with DJ Hubert, which is really funny and kind of cool. But yeah, highly recommended. Beautiful documentary. This next one here, I actually pre-ordered off the website. This is the Evolution of Immortal Technique. Just an amazing documentary that just talks about his childhood, him growing up, of course, and getting into trouble and going to jail and sort of getting his education while he was there, and then coming out and becoming joining the rap battle scene and just dominating and just relentlessly just destroying his opponents. And if you're familiar with his music, you're gonna pretty much hear the same in that. You know, he's just cutthroat when it comes to it. Very intelligent, political MC. One of my favorites. I've seen him handfuls of times. Great performances live too. I mean, highly recommended. I think you might still be able to find it on his website. I got a shirt with it because I pre-ordered it. But yeah, solid documentary. Now, on that political tip, I have The Day the Country Died. It's the documentary of the anarcho-punk movement from 1980 to 84. You have performances and features from Conflict, Crash, Subhuman, Flux of the Pink Indians. You have, I mean, just an intense amount of information. It covers pretty much the political climate and how this kind of being the reactionary response to it was born. And how it became so unique and different from what was happening here in LA with the hardcore punk movement in the 80s. I'm a huge Crass fan. I love them so much. So to see them and footage of them and the performances is really cool. Same thing with Conflict and the Subhumans. But yeah, it's just amazing. And this was actually taken from a book. So it's sort of like an adaptation of it. And the only other one I have of that was similar was actually this one here. American Hardcore. Another one that I love so much. And they're kind of around the same time. So like they give you two different perspectives of a genre of music that's similar. This is more radicalized in the political ideology, in the form of protest, and the music content. And this covers pretty much the American version of it. The punk bands from here, like Black Flag, Circle Jerks, you got a bunch of performances, interviews, and again, it covers the political climate, the recession and the Reagan administration, and how there was a lot of social conflict. So it's just another great documentary. This is actually why I started collecting records, because when I went to the release of this DVD, they were giving away free soundtrack, like LPs of like the soundtrack, and so I took it home and I got a record player shortly after. If it wasn't for this and that day, I wouldn't have a collection in this channel. So that was pretty cool. Now back to some hip hop. This is a super lo-fi, like indie as fuck documentary about the living legends as they toured California and they tried to go into Canada in this like bus. It's funny. It's got some really like raw moments too. You get to see them sort of work on their music and record it in the hotels that they were staying at. So yeah, you're a fan of the living legends, Murs, Eli, Grouch, and all them. They're all in this. I think it's like the original OG lineup of the living legends. But yeah, live performances. The quality of it could have been better, but they were filming literally with whatever they had, and I appreciate that. So kind of random too, I found this and it was $9 at this record shop close by to my house. But Yeah, it's actually kind of cool. So there's that. Now here's an essential punk documentary, the Ramones Raw documentary. It covers pretty much every bit of their history, right up to the hype and the peak of Ramone mania. You have a live performance on here. I think it's a single DVD, but it's packed with features. I mean, it's just for days. One of my favorite early like punk bands from that first wave of punk that came out of New York. And yeah, you get a bunch of like interviews and stuff from other people from that era. Just a great documentary. Okay, so this next one is a bootleg actually. It was very interesting. The urban struggle, the Battle of the Cuckoo's Nest. Apparently, this is at the Surf Theater in Huntington Beach on December 29th, 1981. You got some of OC Hardcore's most famous bands like the TSOL, the Circle Jerks, Black Flag. Well, they're more LA, but they were playing in the OC a lot. Big scene out here in Orange County and LA County. But there was apparently this, it was a target by the police. The OC Sheriff's Department cracked down on the Cuckoo's Nest quite a bit, and there was a standoff with them. Pretty lo-fi, but still pretty decent. I mean, if you like that DIY film aesthetic, this is definitely has it. I think I got it for like $2, so really cool. I don't even think this is in print anymore, so I don't know. You might find it online, but anyways, another one here that's punk, that's one of my favorites, is Another State of Mind. It's a road trip from the West Coast to the East Coast. You got bands like Social Distortion, Youth Brigade from LA. There's two. There's a DC and LA one. Getting in a bus and literally driving cross country, stopping off in different places, making their way down to DC with Minor Threat to do a show, staying at the Discord house, watching some of their practice sessions. Really awesome. You get to see Mike Ness as a young teenage guy, writing some of his classics. Really great documentary. I was really happy to find it, and I think I got it for like a couple bucks at a thrift store. There was a time where I was just finding a bunch of great music there, and documentaries and CDs. This is one of them. Now this next one here, I don't remember where I got, but it is a 2-disc edition of this hardcore punk documentary. Now hardcore punk, when it was started here in LA, it expanded past the East Coast, up north, down south, and all over the world. But in this country, like LA, each scene was different. So New York scene was different from LA. There was a lot of skinheads. There was a more metal influenced scene. You have bands like Cro-Mags on this thing, Madball, H2O. It took basically what happened in DC with the straight edge movement. It made its way up to New York. It influenced bands like Madball and H2O, 108. And it was just, it was violent. And these kids, I mean, really were struggling. A lot of them were homeless. And it kind of led into that 90s hardcore with Gorilla Biscuits, again H2O, Burn. It kind of like fit into that a little bit, so it kind of changed and evolved. But yeah, super like complete documentary. It's a 2-disc documentary. A lot of features, live performances, like I said. I've been trying to collect documentaries that focus specifically on certain cities, states, whatever. I'm hoping to pick up one from like Texas and maybe San Francisco, because each one was so different and unique. It just kind of like created diversity within the hardcore movement. So there's that one. This next one here is Punk's Not Dead. It focuses on newer punk bands like let's see, Good Charlotte, Green Day, My Chemical Romance. And you have some classic hardcore punk bands like The Addicts, Bad Religion, Black Flag, The Ramones, Rancid, Social Distortion, Pennywise. And it asks a very simple question: is punk dead? And did it die when it became commercial in the 90s with the sort of the softening of the punk movement, when the bands were focusing more on melodic structural songs and not so much the cut and paste fury that was hardcore punk music, and whether or not that can be called punk. So it's sort of controversial in its own way, pretty interesting. I really enjoyed watching it, and it has footage from like the Warped Tour and the controversy behind that as well. Moving forward here with, again, some history on the hardcore punk movement. This is Boston Beatdown Volume 2. Wow, this is like the radical faction of hardcore punk. It was violent in Boston. They weren't straight edge, they were hardline, and they saw you smoking or drinking at the shows, they beat your ass, and that was it. They were treated as a gang by the government. I remember seeing Gangland on Discovery or whatever channel it's on, and they did a whole thing on FSU, Friends Stand United. But yeah, there's this very brutal scene out there in Boston. But you have performances by Wrecking Crew, In My Eyes, 10-Year Fight. You got, of course, deleted scenes, extra interview stuff. Really crazy. It was kind of insane to watch the first time through, and once I started learning more about it, and they do give a pretty decent history about Boston hardcore and how it evolved, the more it made sense to me. I don't know why, but Boston just took things and made things even crazier. And then final one here is actually a bootleg as well, but it looks pretty decent, and it's one of my favorites. Decline in Western Civilization. This is like what made me want to find more music documentaries. You got performances by X, Circle Jerks, Black Flag, The Germs, as the scene was sort of starting here in LA. And as you can see, like I said, it's a bootleg. But great interviews with Darby Crash, Keith Morris. The way it was put together, it was black and white. You have interviews from these kids in the scene that was sort of still finding its own way and its identity. But yeah, I mean, they made a series of these and they talk about different genres, but this is by far my most prized DVD, even though it's a bootleg. One day I'll be able to get a real copy of it. But for now, I'm sticking with my bootleg. Highly recommend it. It's beautiful. There it is. We're done. I hope you guys enjoyed. I had a lot of fun showing you these. Maybe I'll show you my books next and my tape collection and CDs maybe. But for now, I might have a vinyl haul video at the end of the week. Finish off November and start December. Unboxing video and so forth. If you want to follow me on any other social media platforms, links are always in the description. Don't forget to like and comment below. I want to hear what documentaries you have, and recommendations would be appreciated. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you guys on the next one.